shine like glass.
I was in a position where I had a skill, and there was a lot of clients I had. They liked me. They sought me out when I left the company I was working for, and I wasn't gonna turn down the money or doing a service. So it was kind of getting overwhelming because they would like come to my house and like, which I didn't mind, but get the service. But then when they started referring people and everything, I'm like, oh, this is not aesthetically correct. So let me figure it out. I literally remember me looking on Craigslist for a space, and I didn't have a business plan. I just had a book. When I say a book, I mean like I had people booked in my square appointments, and I showed the landlord. I'm like, he didn't even ask me for a business plan. He just was like, so I think maybe he did, but it was a reason for why I showed him my clients. I'm like, listen, I'm booked. I have to take these people within the next 2 weeks. And he was just like, you know what? You could take this space for 3 years. Just to like, I guess, give it a chance, see if it'll work out. Honestly, at that time, I was kind of broke. I was like, telling people like, listen, I found this space. I really need the money. And I am exactly who I am. Like, I'm a Leo. I'm straight up. If I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. So there was so many people willing to let me borrow the money. I probably got 4 months up in 2 hours. It's a blessing too, because that shows you like who you are to people and how you come off and how much people believe in you, and I remember giving them the money and they just gave me the space, and I totally forgot, like, getting a space. This space was like empty. No rooms, no floors. The floors were there, but they were like beat up. I literally remember going to Home Depot with my friend that helped me with a lot of the building. And he knew some people that can build the rooms, and we bought the rods and the sheetrock and the molding and the paint, and I knew what I wanted to see. And he just helped me make it come to life with people he knew that were like retired construction workers. It just came together naturally. It's so crazy. And now, it's 8 years later. I was much younger, of course, and I just stepped out on faith. I just was like, you know what? I didn't even think about it failing. I really just knew that I needed to take the people that I was doing the services on within the next few weeks, and I just went from there. I always tell people, like, seriously, like, when you want to do something like this, you don't know the next step. You don't know how you're going to make it happen. Just jump into it. Anything that you're doing in life will work out. Everything will come together. The next step is on whatever you're doing. So it's just like school. You go to school, you don't know if you're ready for the next grade or the next level, but you just take the test and see, and you just go, and then that's just how life is, so I kind of just keep moving. I just ran with Brazilians. Now that's like my thing. I remember being like a little prideful to say I wax vaginas, but I'm like, nah, nobody like us is really doing that right now, and I don't mind to be that person. I don't mind being that person and like making, especially Black women, making us full circle bosses in everything in beauty. And it's like, we don't just do hair, we don't just do nails, we know skin, we know this, so it makes it like kind of bring everything together full circle. And of course I'm from Harlem, so I felt comfortable here, and all up and down 7th Avenue is like beauty salons, nail salons. There was no waxing, there was no skincare, and I was just like, this is perfect. Of course it came with challenges because they didn't really know the service so much. They wasn't used to it being in this community. And I just, that was what made me thrive. I was like, I'm gonna show them how much we need this. I'm gonna show them. I remember a man came in here one day and he said, I'm so proud of you. He said, because when I seen you building this place, I was like, she is not gonna make it. Jesus, what the hell is this? And he was like, it is so, I walk past here and I'll be like, I'm so proud of this girl. So yeah, so that's where we're at now. And I'm like, thank God I was not afraid to jump out the window and just do what I wanted to do. That's the real hustle. You knowing how to make something out of nothing. I feel like that was something that made me a boss in real life. Is not just carrying the name and pumping myself up, but really doing the work and knowing every part of what's happening. You know, so I really pride myself on being humble and putting the work in. And I feel like that's what makes me a boss. Nothing else. Everything else is fun and cool. The Chanel bags, the car, everything like that is cool. But that's not a boss, you know. I mean, that's the rewards for you being in the dirt and being able to really work and want for yourself. You can't do all of that stuff and have all of that stuff without knowing your numbers or knowing how to get to those numbers, you know. So for me, it was just really knowing every aspect of what was happening. You gotta work, do something you like to do to get the things that you want, things that you like. And at the end of the day, those things are important to you, and I'm not gonna take that away from you, but it's important for you to have something substantial for yourself, you know, something you pride yourself in. You can go back and say, I did this for myself, you know. I wanna keep it real, those things matter now, you know? Even though I wanna tell them like, well, that's not important, it kinda is. It's just, to me, not really the definition of a boss, but I get where they're coming from. I have a lot of young friends, I'm a young spirit, and they're like, Mo, you're supposed to get on live and this when you go to the stores and you get in your car. And I'm like, really? From my era, that's flossing. That might get you robbed. But, you know, nowadays they're like, no, you do that, you know. So I probably would give them the advice to do that, but understand how to get it, you know, and not just have it. And invest in things that's going to get you your money back. If you're going to do all of that, make sure you're doing it wisely, doing it where this is going to help me just in case there's another pandemic. What am I going to do if I have to sit down and I can't run around to go get these bags and things like that from whoever or from however I'm getting it? I need to make sure I have some type of skills, some type of security blanket, you know. So I just try to let them know, like, it's important for you to want to work. I never thought anything was more important than my business. I was here every day. I was waxing every day. This was my pride and joy. And now I never understood how much moms would say, like, when they have a baby, how much that means to them. Like, I was like, wow, I used to be like, oh, that's so cool, that's cute. But now I'm like, oh my God, I love you more than anything in life. I never thought I could, because, you know, I had a successful business, I was growing and I was still in it. But now I'm like, wow, motherhood is amazing. It's things that you feel that you don't get from working hard or from just having a business or being successful. It's really just a different thing. It's a different thing. So my mark is definitely not even for the world, for Brinks to be able to, that's his name, Brinks, to be able to live comfortably and not be afraid to live comfortably and fit in wherever he needs to. So my goal really is to make sure that I leave a mark for him and other young black boys to have some type of direction and what can I say, and that boost that other races get. They already have like a step up. We don't have that, you know. We black, we come from the hood. Like, I want to make sure that I give him that step up. I don't want him to go through what I've been through in life. I want him to be able to already have what he needs and grow from there. During the pandemic, I was pregnant. I was so happy to be able to sit out because I am in my 30s and I was pregnant. I was tired. So when the pandemic happened, I was like, thank God I get to sit down through this. It was no worries because everybody was going through it. It wasn't like I was just going through it and I'm having these issues that I'm going to have to deal with later. It was kind of like, rent for what? Nah, nobody got rent right now. So it was kind of like, just sit out and be comfortable. I feel like right before the pandemic, when I was pregnant, I was kind of like slacking. Like I was like falling behind. I'm so 100. I'll keep it real because we all live a different type of life, and everybody goes through things, you know. And I think that when I was right before the pandemic, and I was pregnant, I was just kind of like, damn, I'm kind of behind. My bills was like getting crazy. Things were slowing up. It was like right after Christmas holiday. And that's when things are kind of slow for these businesses. People spent their money on Christmas and New Year's and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, damn, we're kind of getting a little, January, February is not a good month for us. So it was kind of like perfect timing. You know, even though by the time we owed rent from when we were closed, I was like, damn, I was behind on February too. Like, it was so much that I was like, damn, this wasn't done. Okay, let me get this type of paperwork done. Okay, let me make sure this is here. Check, check, check. And I kind of just was like, okay, I needed this stuff done. This was important. Me in the zone without a baby here, Brazilian Babes, I just was kind of like going. Every time I'm trying to figure this out. And remember, I'm running a business and I'm the esthetician. And I'm managing whoever is here at the time, you know, so it's hard for me to, and social media is a thing. And it was like, I gotta learn this. I'm not a millennial. I gotta figure this out. I don't just adapt to TikTok. I gotta go read about TikTok. I sound like auntie right now, but seriously, I was like, I gotta figure this out. Wait, hold on. I gotta see what this is about. I gotta wax. I gotta post. I gotta, you know, do my regular life. So it kind of slowed me down and made me get things in order. So now that I can figure this out with things done. And after having a baby and going through COVID of them making us sitting down wasn't such a bad thing. It was kind of like, okay. And then having a baby, I was like, you know what? I like the fast pace because I'm used to it, but I like being a little bit slower. And anyone that knows Atlanta, especially now, it could be fast as New York or it could be slow as North Carolina. But it's one of those things where you get the best of both worlds. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna move to Atlanta. Atlanta came out of nowhere. I just randomly called a friend up like, hey, you know, what, you think I would do well in Atlanta? To a few friends, and they were like, yeah, you young, you're black, you're a business owner, you have a baby, it's good for family, it's good for business, it's good for all of that, it's a good look. The girls in Atlanta, they like brows and stuff. So, you know, here we do brows, but I think I'm gonna go more harder with brows out in Atlanta. Also, I feel like they're more into their skincare too. Like, we were doing facials here for a minute, but they weren't that interested in Harlem in facials. And I had invested in this microdermabrasion machine, and I'm like, you know what? Atlanta, that's gonna be a thing for me. I'm gonna do some microderms, and I'm gonna be more into skin there. I feel money in Atlanta. I feel like a lot of good things for myself in Atlanta. It makes me nervous almost, you know? It makes me nervous. And even though I come from the ground and I know I can make it happen, it's nerve-wracking. It makes me anxious. I'm like, oh shit. And you just never know. In your 30s, you think you're older. I tell my 30-year-old friends, like, we still young. Because in our 20s, we thought we was old and we were still young, you know. So for me, it's still like, we still young, you know. So you never know when you're going to be at 50. The Diddy's and them are hanging out with Miamis and everything. Like, we just merging at this point, you know. So it's all about your spirit and where you are. So I feel like I got a long way to go. And I'm just open to knowing what I got going on in the South. Atlanta is showing me that I need to be big on social media, Brazilian Babes _ I made a new page so I can be more social and I can post my personal life and my business life and not look unprofessional. So I am Brazilian Babes, but if you want to just follow the company, Brazilian Babes _ You know what, the quality of Chanel, what Chanel speaks to is just kind of like you can't sit next to me. Like, it's a calling for a certain type of crowd. It's something that you feel like I've earned. I feel like the value of Chanel is like timeless. You know, I know one thing. I know that when I buy me a jumbo 8, now they 10, probably $1,000 bag, I know that if I ever going through a hardship, that bag is gonna give me some money. Every time I spend money on a Chanel bag, I'm like, I gotta go back out and do what I got to do. You know, because this bag bag just took me down. Oh yeah, that's a lot of work and a lot of waxing.